But you asked about policy, and you asked about what does Kamala Harris stand for. We saw some of it maybe in the CNN interview. She claims, and we're doing this as we look forward to the debates, and Deborah chimed in and says she can't wait for this debate. Well, let's take a look at what Kamala Harris is saying now about what you can trust about what she has said in the past, I guess. Get ready for some word salad, folks. Break out your spoons and forks here.
How should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and, by extension, the globe.
Seems like you're chomping at the bit to talk right now, Ross. I saw you getting the Kamala Harris shoulder shrugging going on.
The shoulder shrugging. No, it's just funny, G. Like deadlines around time. What other deadlines are there? What is a deadline if it's not around time? Well, I don't understand. And then,
true.
You know what's her other thing she's always running around saying? Because she said her values has not changed, right? But what does she always say? She's actually still using it, which is unreal because she got made fun of so much for this. Unburdened by what has been.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know? What can be unburdened by what has been.
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 What we can see, what we believe can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
By what has been. By what has been your position like a few months ago? Is that what we're unburdened by? Unburdened by you being the current vice president and could have done some of the things you say you're going to do? We want to look forward and not backward. How far backward should we not look? Like 3 weeks ago backward when you were the vice president, or today when you're still the vice president?
We don't know what she stands for because she told us that she was against fracking, and she hasn't really said that she's for it, but she claims that she said that she was for it. She didn't say that during, if you remember back to the 2020 debate, Kamala Harris, on the issue of fracking, originally said when she was running for president in 2020 that she was against fracking.
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office, adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yeah.
When she became Biden's running mate, she only talked about Joe Biden's position on fracking, did not talk about her own.
Joe Biden will not end fracking. He has been very clear about that. I will repeat, and the American people know, that Joe Biden will not ban fracking.
But then claimed in this interview on CNN, this very friendly interview, that she has always been consistent in her policy position as a part of this administration and going forward. Yet she never actually uttered the words.
When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
In 2019, I believe, at a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
Same thing with her position on defunding the police. She was bailing out members of BLM during the Summer of Love. She was for defunding the police, and then she was not for it. There are many inconsistent policy points here that a Trump can really attack in this debate. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. Let's talk about debate strategies, because we actually have talked about this at great length over the years, about the best way to handle everything. Would you agree that for this debate, allowing Kamala Harris to speak as much as possible can only help Trump?
Absolutely. And he has to be disciplined with, like we've said this before, with a few factoids, right? And then throw it at her when it's his time. Donald Trump did a good job in the debate with Joe Biden. Very good job. Right. I wouldn't say
I'll get back to that in a second. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is, look at who he was facing, right? So maybe if he was facing like a skilled debater, it wouldn't have appeared as good. But Donald Trump, in his own bandwidth, did pretty good, right? He was much more reserved than usual. And the one piece of advice I would give him again is, who cares what the question is from the moderator? No one cares what the moderator is asking. When you have your time, and I'm a big fan of this muted microphone thing, you answer the question you want to answer. It doesn't matter how they frame it or even what the question is. Donald Trump was masterful at that with the debate with Joe Biden. He kept going back. He said, you know what? I'm going to use some of this time to go back to the last question, and then he would articulate his point and then give a little throwaway answer for that. And he was always playing catch up with the questions, but that's what he's going to have to do with Kamala, right? Because no one's going to fact check her in real time. She's going to say whatever she thinks is the right thing to say at that moment in time. And Trump's going to have to call her out with fact of, no, you said this not only in 2020, but you were part of an administration that did X, Y, and Z. You were the last person in the room in Afghanistan. You said you were the last person in the room for most major decisions there. You were the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Act, right? Not the Inflation Reduction Act, but the Inflation Act that caused this massive inflation. That's what he needs to do in this debate.
He needs to do that. And I think what you're talking about is building a theme for his answers throughout the night. A good theme is, what does this person stand for? Stay away from all the nonsense about like what happened in Arlington Cemetery. Stay away from, is she black or is she Indian? Stay away from all those gotchas. Stay away from the I'm speaking and interrupting her, because that's a trap that she's going to use based upon her gender. Stick to the theme of Kamala the chameleon. She doesn't stand for anything, and therefore you'll fall for anything she says. Vibes are not policy. Hope is not a strategy. What are her plans? Will she want to take away guns like she did in California? Will she want to impose a draconian climate scheme that punishes Americans for being good but allows other nations like China and India and others to continue to be bad actors? What is going to be her policy for foreign policy, given that the world is on fire because of this administration? The best political cartoon I saw this week was a cartoon of Kamala Harris as a lifeguard, standing on a chair talking to a bunch of people saying, when I become lifeguard, I'm going to do, but someone screams out at her, but you're already the lifeguard, and then points to a pool of people who are drowning with phrases like inflation, like phrases like foreign policy, like phrases like Israel and Ukraine and things like that. Things that were created by this administration. Trump needs to push back on records and remind people that things went bad in my administration at the end because of a pandemic, not because of what Kamala Harris would say is mismanagement. And then let them know, you don't get brownie points for fixing crises that you yourself create. And remind people who created the crisis in the Afghanistan withdrawal, who created a world on fire and allowed Russia to invade Ukraine by saying out loud in a press conference, well, it can be a little bit of a takeover, not so much of a takeover.
Russia will be held accountable if it invades, and it depends on what it does. It's one thing if it's a minor incursion and then we end up having a fight about what to do and not do, et cetera. But if they actually do what they're capable of doing with the force amassed on the border, it is going to be a disaster for Russia.
You said that Russia would be held accountable if it invades, and it depends on what it does. Are you saying that a minor incursion by Russia into Ukrainian territory would not lead to the sanctions that you have threatened, or are you effectively giving Putin permission to make a small incursion into the country?
Good question. That's how it did sound like, didn't it?
The theme has to be tying Harris to this administration's decisions and not falling into the traps, which means she has to have a mastery of what is being said and what the issues are, and sort of tone down Trump being Trump.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what you're saying in a nutshell, right? So she's, in her opening statement, she's going to give her a brief background and her resume again. And she's done this a few times already. And her resume includes all the things she's done in California as attorney general and then a senator from the state. But she keeps leaving out her best job. She is the sitting vice president of the United States, right? So Trump needs to nail her on that she is actually an incumbent in this race. She's not the outsider coming to stop Donald Trump, the incumbent. Donald Trump's been out of office for almost 4 years now, 3.5 years, right? She is the incumbent. And I would ask her at least one gotcha question, just to, I wouldn't call her stupid. I'd just show that she is stupid, right? If the subject of fracking comes up, no matter what she says her current position is, when it would be my time to speak, I would simply say, I'm going to give her the rest of my time to describe what fracking actually is. She's so against it, or she has a position on it. Describe to us what fracking is. I can guarantee you Kamala Harris does not know what fracking is. She has no clue. She is not I feel like we live in a simulation, right? In no real world would Kamala Harris be a candidate for president of the United States. Love or hate Hillary Clinton, love or hate Barack Obama, they were not stupid people, right? They were smart people. We didn't agree with them on a lot of things, but they were not stupid people. Kamala Harris and even Joe Biden is a pretty stupid person. They're both pretty stupid, right? Joe Biden was never a smart man. Don't let the dementia fool you towards the end. Pull up clips from him in the 90s or the 80s. He was never smart. He just spoke a little faster.
Oh, yeah, the accusations of plagiarism against him and stealing lines from speeches. And how he didn't get out of primaries back in the 90s because he was that dumb. Absolutely. We are trending towards idiocracy. Last thought on the debate. I want to get your thoughts about the venue and the choice of moderators at ABC. Is Trump once again playing 3-on-1 here?
Well, he's always going to play 3-on-1. I mean, that's a given. I thought the media was again dishonest. How he agreed to debate rules, and no one thought he would agree to them the first time with the muted microphones. And then Kamala's been running around saying, and through her staff, that Trump is afraid of a real-time give and take with the microphones not being muted. If you just go back to what you said earlier with her debate with Mike Pence, obviously she needs the microphones muted, right? She wants to get that gotcha moment of I'm speaking here, trying to make a white man look stupid on TV. Like, I get it. That's what the Democrats are all about. A woman of color putting a white man in his place. Got it. Like, good for you. Back then you did that. And she wants to do that desperately with Trump, right? But if she was speaking and she wanted her time to speak, why not have the microphones muted, right? Just have it. Because I would say, let's not mute the microphones, but let's not have a moderator then at all. Throw a topic up on a screen and just have at it.
We've always talked about this. I think that's the way to go. Just put an issue there and let's see what comes to mind to the candidate to speak. By the way, the moderators for this debate are going to be David Weir from, I believe it's the ABC World News show that is on daily on the ABC network, and Lindsay Davis, who I'm not totally familiar with, but if they work for George Snuffleupagus, I'm always suspect of them. So that's just my feelings on this. The last thing I want to say about this, and I kind of alluded to this earlier when you were talking about how good of a night Trump had against Biden. I don't know if he had such a good night as it was that Joe Biden had such a horrendous night. I think Trump needs to go to school on these issues. Maybe that's why he's not out and about recently. I think he needs some serious debate prep. And, I have heard this, but I haven't confirmed it, that Tulsi Gabbard is actually on his debate prep team. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, I've been hearing that. I think it's helpful. She did a few events with him too, where she was the moderator at a town hall, and I thought that went very well. But at the end of the day, I don't care what anyone says. Trump is Trump. He's not doing debate prep in any classic sense. He's not like pretending that she's on the stage with him. I believe him when he says, his best debate prep is just going out there speaking to the media and doing rallies. I believe that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, J.D. Vance did confirm that Tulsi Gabbard is coaching Donald Trump in the debate, and who better than the Kamala Slayer to help him out? If you like that clip from our new show, Behind Enemy Lines, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any other shows, and tune in live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.